Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. I thought today I would talk about how to afford buying supercars and do a little conversation and Q&A around wealth creation. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I come from humble beginnings. I'm one of these guys who no one gave me anything. I had to work hard for everything I've obtained. And over the years, by following a set pathway for success, I was able to create enough wealth to allow me the opportunity to buy some of the cars that I currently have in my garage. And I got an opportunity to buy another special car. If you guys want to know what that is, just look at the thumbnail. I'm really considering purchasing an Audi R8, and I had an opportunity to spend a little time with it earlier this week. My neighbor is getting ready to sell it. So I had an opportunity to test drive it, get up and close, and I actually put out a video last week. I'm sorry, I actually put out a video this week about that interaction I had with the R8, and also sharing with you guys that it's up for sale. But honestly, I'm considering buying it myself. So I just wanted to kind of jump on a live today to update you guys on what's going on with me, talk a little bit about how I buy my supercars, why I'm able to buy the supercars, and then answer some questions that you guys might have as it relates to building wealth for yourself and putting yourself in a position to be able to do some of the things you might want to do at some point in your life. It may not be cars, it may be something totally different, but creating wealth is the pathway to get you to whatever lifestyle you want. And it certainly has done that for me, but it was a lot of hard work. So in today's live, I want to talk a little bit about that and then just kind of answer some general questions that you guys have. I don't think I've done a live stream. I think I did one last week, but it was really focused and geared towards a specific topic, not sort of like a general live stream that I'm gonna be doing today. And I'll probably go for about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. It just depends on the type of interaction we get, and the type of questions that I get will determine kind of how long I go on the live. I see right now we got people jumping in. Elite Investor, I thank you, man. Appreciate it. Derry 64, what's up, man? I appreciate you dropping in. Everybody else that's starting to come in, Super Swing Trader, I appreciate you dropping in as well. M&N, I appreciate you dropping in as well, man. So it looks like I do got some questions. So let me just dive into that, and then we'll kind of, as time permits, I'll kind of go into how I buy these cars. Like I said, if you guys follow the channel, you're very aware of how I do that, but I know I'm getting new subscribers all the time and that may have not had an opportunity to go back and look at some of the prior videos. So let's jump into it. So let me start with Elite Investor's question. How do you stay focused on your success even though it will take 5 to 10 years? Well, here's the deal, guys. Let's first of all get one thing clear. People who have amassed a certain amount of wealth, they didn't do it overnight. 99% of them didn't do it overnight. You have that 1% of people who fall into wealth through a very short window. Most of us, it's going to take us a little bit longer to do that. And guys, think about it. 5 to 10 years, that's not a lot of time in the big scheme of things. And honestly, once you get started and you start laying the foundation, see, the key is you got to first of all figure out what's your target. What's my end game? What type of passive income do I want to create for myself? And how long am I going to give myself to do that? So if you want to create passive income at, say, $10,000 a month, and you only want to give yourself 3 years to do it, you can certainly put that type of timetable on your creating that $10,000 a month in passive income. No one says you got to wait 5 to 10 years. But what my recommendation is, put in the work and just get closer to that goal every year. If you get it in 3 years, great. If it takes you 5 years, okay. If it takes you 10 years, okay. At the end of the day, from now to 10 years, if you can create whatever wealth you want to create, then it's still worth it, in my opinion. Are you making profit purchasing those cars and selling them, or is it just break even and enjoy it? That's from Max Axelrod. Well, let me tell you like this. I am not making any money off the supercars I buy, because when I started creating additional streams of income in order to put myself in a position to buy cars, that's what I bought them for, is for my personal enjoyment. I don't really care if I break even or lose money. It doesn't make any difference to me. And the reason it doesn't make any difference to me is because I created enough income to be able to buy these cars the way I want to buy them, enjoy them the way I want to enjoy them, so I don't have that added stress or pressure of worrying about depreciation or, oh, I lost $20,000 on this car. I don't have that to worry about because I've created enough money and enough income to be able to pay for these cars without having to worry about if I lose money on them or not. And this is what I want to talk about, guys, with this wealth creation. If you have enough money, you don't worry about depreciation. You don't worry about losing money on a luxury item if you have enough money. Or at least most of the people that I know. I know there's that person out there that makes their money, they save it, they're frugal, they don't spend it on things they don't need, and that's okay. If that's the lifestyle that they want to lead, they've earned the right to lead that type of lifestyle. The type of lifestyle I want to lead is I want to go out and create wealth, and I want to be able to take that wealth, because what is it? What is wealth? It's nothing more than a tool. Money is nothing more than a tool. It's worthless until you use it. You get where I'm coming from? So if you go out and bust your butt and you create it, it's a tool, number one, and then use it. You putting it under your mattress or sticking it in the bank somewhere, it's useless. It does you no good. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm going to spend my time creating money, then I'm going to spend it the way I decide to spend it. And as long as I plan properly, and I'm taking care of my family, and I've taken care of all of my needs, then if I go out and create wealth that I want to use to spend on a luxury car that I can have personal enjoyment out of, then that's what I'm going to do. And I advise you guys to think the same way. Don't look at money as this, win or lose type of thing. I mean, look, go out and create it and spend it how you want to spend it. That's my advice to you. And just live your life. Life is too short to be worrying about if a car depreciated by $10,000 or not. Don't worry about that. If you got to worry about that, you probably can't afford it, and you probably shouldn't be buying it anyways. Let's go on here. Your cars are an inspiration. Okay, I missed that one. Your cars are an inspiration, no doubt. I appreciate you sharing your journey with us. You're welcome, Everyday Hustle. Thank you, man, for dropping in. How do you find purpose? Wow, that's awesome. That's a great question. How do I find purpose in my life? Well, guys, when I started my corporate job 25 years ago, I didn't know what my purpose was. Well, let me rephrase that. I knew what part of my purpose was. Part of my purpose was to raise my kids and take care of my family. That was part of my purpose, right? But the other part of my purpose, I didn't know. And it took me a while, as I was working my 9-to-5 job and meeting people and learning about new things that this world had to offer, I finally understood what my purpose was. And my purpose was helping people. My purpose was taking my knowledge that I've gained over the last 25 years and sharing that knowledge with you guys and anybody else who is willing to listen, sharing that information and teaching people and walking them through how they can create a level of financial success and financial freedom for themselves. So that's my purpose. Now, that purpose comes in handy when times get tough. Sometimes I don't want to make a video, or sometimes I don't want to do a post, or sometimes I don't want to do something that deals with helping somebody. But guess what? My purpose is to help people. So that always brings me forward. When I think I'm tired and I don't want to do something, I always think about my purpose, and that centers me and puts me back on task. What I would tell you is figure out what your purpose is, what your true purpose is. Figure out what makes you happy, whether it's money related or not. Figure out what makes you happy. And then when you're having a tough time in life, draw on that. Think about what makes you happy, and think about that will propel you forward. And for me, guys, that's my purpose, helping people. That's what makes me happy. And that's what I'm doing now. And I put myself in a position where I'm able to do that, and it's going quite well. So let's keep moving on here. Beehive Creative. Do you buy real estate based on the quality of the deal, or do you specifically look for cap rate for rentals or ROI on a flip? Well, first of all, I don't do flips. I do buy and hold. And the reason I do buy and hold is because my strategy is pretty simple. When I put my money in a piece of real estate, I wanted to do two things. I want to have enough cash flow that it covers all my expenses, including my mortgage expense. And it also gives me some money to put in reserve. So if I need to do capital improvements to the property, I can do that. And I look for at least about a 10% cash on cash return. That's number one. Number two, I want to be able to buy real estate to create wealth. And the way you create wealth with real estate is through real estate appreciation, or appreciation in value. That's how you create wealth. So if I buy a property for $100,000 and I want to hold it for 5 years, I look for properties where I can get a 25 or 30% or a better return on that $100,000 from an appreciation standpoint. So those are the two things I look for: cash flow, and I also look for appreciation. Now, which one is the most important to me when I'm looking at real estate? The one that's most important to me is appreciation, because I understand appreciation is how you create wealth. Cash flow is how you create passive income, or how you create income for yourself. I'm not necessarily as concerned with cash flow. Even though I want cash flow and I want a minimum return on my money, I'm more concerned about appreciation. So when I get ready to sell the property, I want to make sure I get at least a 30, like I said, between 25 and 30% return or better on the sale of the property. I agree, cars are toys. If you can't afford to burn the money in the fireplace, then you shouldn't buy supercars. I tend to agree with you. If you can't afford or stomach losing 20 or 30 grand on a supercar when you buy it, then you probably shouldn't be buying it. You probably should think of another hobby or another passion, because in the world I live in, 99% of us, we're gonna lose money on these cars, man. There's that rare guy out there, or people who can find these cars at such a wholesale value and buy them and stay in them for 12 months and then flip them. That's rare, guys. I promise you, these dealerships, these luxury exotic car dealerships, are not in the business of not making money. The reason they're in business is to make money. They're professionals at this. So the average guy ain't gonna walk in there and beat them up to the point where they make no money. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they be in business? So people telling you that they don't lose any money on cars, guys, really, I wouldn't put too much stock in that. Now, again, like I said, the rare guy who may have a background in buying and selling cars, maybe he has a dealer's license, or he has a friend that has a dealer's license, or they can go to the auction and buy these cars at really, really reduced prices, then that type of person may not lose as much. But the average guy like you and me, we're gonna lose money on these supercars. I can guarantee you that. So like the other guy just said, the other subscriber just said, hey, if you can't stomach losing the money, then don't buy the car. Do you have any daily habits that have helped you stay on track to success? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And in all fairness, to me so that I don't rattle them all off and waste guys' times. I got 3 or 4 videos. If you go look at my YouTube videos, hey, Justin, appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I got to find you in here. Okay. I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you very much, man. But yeah, some of the things I do, you guys know I'm a big believer in mindset. I'm a big believer in have the right thinking patterns. So each morning when I get up, in order to put myself in the right mindset, I always read something positive. Every morning, 365 days a year. Every morning I get up, I read something positive. And the reason I do that is to put me in the right mindset. Because I understand the mindset, in most cases, at least for me, the mindset that I have in the morning typically will dictate the mindset I have throughout the day. So that's one of the golden nuggets I learned a long time ago. Wake up in the morning, as soon as you get up, first 30 seconds to a minute, crack open something and read it, a book with some inspirational quotes, or listen to something inspirational, and then go on with your day. So that's the number one habit that I do every morning when I get up in order to put my mind in the right mode. I want to be in a positive mode. I want to be in a mode where I'm aggressive but knowledgeable. I want to be respectful but not taking any answers that I don't want to hear. Like, hey, if I'm looking for real estate, I want to be in a mode where I certainly don't want to take no for an answer if I'm after a property. But in order to be in the right frame of mind, you got to be positive, and you got to give a positive aura about yourself. That way you can attract opportunity. So first thing in the morning, read something positive, listen to something positive. It will set the tone for your day. Okay, Justin, you're welcome, sir. Okay, thank you, man. I appreciate it once again. Let me see. We got some more questions here. I really appreciate the detailed response. I've been a crossroads between flip and rentals, and that answer helped. You got it, man. That's the reason I like doing these lives. It's unrehearsed. You know, I may say something wrong, but I enjoy this live interaction between us, man, because I think we all I learn a lot. You guys hopefully learn something, and so I enjoy doing them. Can a person purchase a home making $50,000 a year? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can purchase a home making $50,000 a year. You just got to figure out what your budget can afford. So, you know, $50,000 a year, you just have to figure out, okay, what can I afford? And then go out, get yourself pre-approved, you know, go down to your a local bank or a credit union, or go online to some of these reputable online lenders. Plug in all your information. They're going to give you a pre-approval letter based on your income. And then you know exactly how much you're able to go out and look for as it relates to cost of a house with that pre-approval. But that's a good way for people who don't really understand what can I qualify for. Go get pre-approved by a bank or a credit union or an online lender, a reputable online lender. Then you know exactly the amount you can go out and look for a house for because you've already been pre-approved. Do you have any other advanced investing such as futures or derivatives in the stock market? No, I do not. And I'm old school, guys. So I'm a big believer I invest in what I know. I invest in things that I'm comfortable with and I have a knowledge of understanding. See, I don't want to put all my trust in some other person. And don't get me wrong, licensed advisors out there, investment advisors, they're great. They're great. They're knowledgeable, they're trained to do this, they're licensed, all that good stuff. But for me personally, if I don't understand the concept, if I don't understand that investment, then I don't invest in it. So I stick to peanut butter and jelly. I stick to publicly traded, blue chip companies in the United States. Pepsi-Cola, Apple, Ford, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I mean, I stick to blue chip, Fortune 500 American companies. Nothing wrong with international companies, but I live in the United States. I don't know anything about international investing. So I stick to companies where I can walk into Walmart, I can pick up their product, or I can go into Target, I can pick up their product, or I can go online and buy something. I invest in those type, or I can go to that bank and sit down and talk with somebody about my investments. So those are the types of things that I invest in. I stay away from things I know nothing about. I'm just uncomfortable investing. That's why I don't do Bitcoin. That's why I don't invest in gold and precious metals, and I don't invest in that kind of stuff because I don't know anything about it. I've made a lot of, okay, let's see here. My budget allows $2,000 a month on a mortgage, but there are no houses in my area within that price range. What can I do? Well, if your budget is $2,000 a month and you can't find a house in that price range, then you may want to think about perhaps purchasing a duplex. But I'm talking about like a pretty, really nice, good sized duplex that you can live in one half and you can have a tenant live in the other half. That income from the tenant can help you with your income pay for the whole thing. That's one option for you. The second option would be consider moving. Maybe move to an area of the country where your dollar goes farther along the way as it relates to real estate. I'm not sure what type of work you're in, but I would consider the duplex option, and live in one half, have someone else live in the other half, and you can collect the rent to help pay for the mortgage. Or consider moving to an area where you can't afford to buy yourself a home, because I believe everybody should have the opportunity to do that if they so choose to. Now, home ownership isn't for everybody, but for people who do want home ownership, you should be able to have it. If you do all the right things, you should be able to have it. And sometimes if you're in an area of the country where it's pricey and you can't afford it, you may have to consider moving to an area where you can afford it. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. What do you think about investing in REITs, or don't you believe in them because they aren't liquid? Well, I do believe in investing in REITs, and I do believe REITs are liquid. And the reason I say that is because most of your REITs that I would invest in are publicly traded companies. So you can buy them just like you can any publicly traded stock. So if you wanted to invest in a REIT that has a asset class and they only invest in multifamily or apartment buildings, you can certainly find a REIT out there that does that, and you can buy a share of it because it's traded just like any other publicly traded company. Now, the reason I think it's liquid is because you can sell it at any time. Once again, it's a publicly traded company and you can sell it at any time. So just like you would if you bought, 100 shares of Apple, and you wanted to sell that 100 shares of Apple, you could just go on to the market and sell them. So in my opinion, it is liquid. I think most REITs are liquid, at least the ones that I would invest in. They're publicly traded companies. They're on the, either on the NASDAQ or on the stock exchanges. So you're able to just invest in them. And then when you're ready to move on, take sell your shares and get your money and move on. How do you pay for multiple mortgages for a beginner when there are multiple vacancies? Well, first of all, the way I look at real estate and the way I built my real estate portfolio is I started slow. I bought one property, and then I graduated to 2 properties, and then I graduated to 3 properties. So in that process, I learned a lot. Also in that process, I always maintained a primary source of income. I always maintained my 9-to-5 job where I was making money. So if I did run into a problem with a tenant vacating, then I had enough resources from my 9-to-5 job. And remember, I talked about earlier in this live, when you start collecting your rent, you need to start leaving money in a reserve so that when you do have a vacancy, you can pull into that reserve and pull money out of that to keep things going until you get your new tenant. But if you're taking all the cash flow and spending it, then yeah, when you have a vacancy, you're going to be stuck like Chuck because you're not going to have any money. So when you're starting to get this cash flow from these rental properties, guys, don't spend it all. Take it and put it up, put it in reserve. Put some of it in reserve and then put some of it to go down on another house or another property or another duplex. So you just got to be careful that you always have a rainy day fund or a reserve fund when you're in real estate, because you will lose a tenant. You will have a new roof you got to put on. You may need to do foundation work. You may need to rewire the whole house. You just never know. So you got to always have some reserves. Let's see, it would be interesting, some YouTuber, would you assist others to get their dream car and film the process? Absolutely. I'd be more than welcome to do that. I don't have a problem with that at all. So yeah, if someone's interested in doing that and they're in my area or they're willing to bring their car to my area or come to my area, yeah, sure. I certainly would be open to that. Just as long as my schedule allows me to do it, I certainly would be more than happy to do it. Let's see here. I have 3 apartments valued over $1 million. I have 3 apartments valued over $1 million. I'm thinking of selling one of them and transfer another country while renting out the other. I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Gabriel, so maybe you can kind of shed some light on it for me. I'm not sure if I understand the question, what you're asking. I'm thinking of selling off one of them and transferring another country. Well, like I said, I'm not sure if I understand that one. How important is timing and price when you're investing in stocks? Oh, it's really important, because you know what I look for when I'm looking to buy a stock. I'm looking for, is it a blue chip stock, right? Then I'm going to go into their investor relations on their website, and I'm going to take a look at their financial statements. And, you know, if they're profitable, which most times they are, but for whatever reason, the stock is undervalued, and then that's when I buy it. Because I understand sometimes companies will have, their stock will be undervalued, you know, and maybe it's temporary. You know, maybe they had a setback, maybe they had a bad quarter. Maybe they told Wall Street they were going to do a certain expectation, and they fell short of that expectation, and maybe some of your rating agencies downgraded them. So that made the stock go down. So those companies, I know if they got a history of profitability, I'll go in and buy those types of companies, and I'll just wait, especially if they're paying a good dividend. See, that's why I like the bank stocks. I like bank stocks because, one, I'm a former banker, and I understand how the whole banking thing works. And also, I think bank stocks, at least a lot of them that I'm investing in, are very undervalued. I just don't think the stock has recovered fully from the 2008 downturn. So I'm waiting. So I'm buying as much as I can buy, because I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, they will have fully recovered. And at that point, I'll realize quite a bit of appreciation in that stock portfolio, because I understand that they're great banks. They got great balance sheets. They make a lot of money, but for whatever reason, they just haven't fully recovered stock price-wise from the 2008 downturn. But I'm telling you, the next 5, 10 years, they will. And I'll be right there invested in order to reap those benefits when it happens. That's just my belief. Again, I'm not a stock advisor or anything like that. I'm just telling you my own personal opinion, guys. Let's see here. I currently have $2,000 saved to start on saving for a down payment. What should I put the money to get it? Okay. Well, here's what I would tell you. If you got $2,000 and say you're trying to save $10,000 in order to put a down payment on your first rental property, guys, I would put that money somewhere safe, because I wouldn't really be thinking about what type of return I can get on the $2,000. What I would be thinking about is, where can I put this money where it's safe so that I can keep storing money till I get my $10,000, and then that will be my investment. So for me personally, I would keep it somewhere that is relatively safe. You may want to put it in some type of high yield money market account at some financial institution or online, as long as it's FDIC insured. I would do that. I would not risk putting that money in the stock market. I just wouldn't do it, because what if something goes wrong? What if that investment you put it in takes a dip? And instead of having $2,000 saved, now you got $1,000 saved. So I would put it somewhere safe, knowing that my long-term goal is not to get a 20% return on the $2,000, but my long-term goal is I want to be able to put $10,000 in a property and then get cash flow and appreciation on that property and get a really nice return on my $10,000. So I wouldn't worry about anything other than just putting it in a safe place until I can accumulate enough money to put my down payment on my rental property. That's what I would do. I need financial advice. I'm 20, working at a warehouse, making $16 an hour, but it feels like I'm behind because I'm not wearing designer clothes. I'm also cheap, so I can have a bunch of money at once. Well, again, guys, Travis, you have to decide what's important to you. You got to decide if what other people think about what you wear is important to you or not. Or is you delaying gratification, following your path to success, saving your money, investing your money because you have a target amount you need to hit and you want to hit it in 5 or 10 years so that you can be financially free, or so that you can buy whatever designer clothes you want. At that point, you got to make that determination. My recommendation is not worry about what people think. What you should worry about is, how do I stay on my pathway to success? How do I keep earning money and investing it so that I can hit my financial goals? And then when you hit your financial goals, guess what? All of that stuff that was in the past doesn't even matter, because you'll be able to live the lifestyle you want for as long as you want to live it. You just, so don't worry about that. Just like now, I live my life. I've worked hard. I invest my money. I buy what I want to buy. I don't care what nobody thinks. I have a lot of people that comment in my videos, a lot of stuff, but I don't worry about that, because why? I'm laser focused. I'm laser focused on what I need to do in order to put myself in a position to be financially free. So I don't care about anything else other than that, accomplishing that goal, because I know once I accomplish that goal, guess what? I'm financially free. I can do whatever I want to do. So just keep your head in the game, stay focused on your financial goals, and don't worry about what anybody says or what kind of clothes you're wearing, because ultimately in the future, man, you'll be able to do anything you want to do because you'll be financially free and set for life. I need financial advice. I'm 20. Okay, I read that one already. I'm also, okay. Let's check out this question from Joe Miller. I'm going to start a savings investment of some kind to deposit money for my 2-year-old. Any ideas? Yeah, I certainly do. I would say look into 529 saving plans. If you want to make an investment in your child's future, make an investment in paying for their education. I know there are people in this world don't believe in education. They don't necessarily believe you need to have education to be successful. And I agree with that. I don't think you do. I don't think you need a lot of education to be successful. But I think what education gives you is options. Everybody's not going to be this amazing entrepreneur. Everybody's not going to be this real estate baron. Most of us are going to have to go out and get a normal job and do normal things and make normal money and be fiscally responsible with it. So guess what? People who have an education in our country and in most countries, believe it or not, they have more options. Because again, everybody's not going to be this entrepreneur. Everybody's not going to be business savvy. Most people have to go out and get a job. And let's face it, in order to do that and take care of yourself, the more education you have, the better. So I think invest in a 529 plan for your child or some investment vehicle to be able to put money away so when they're ready to go to college, they have their college tuition, all their expenses ready to go. And that's your way of giving them a head start. And that way, when they come out of college, hopefully they don't have student loans and things like that weighing them down. They can go out and get a job or create their own company and start doing well for themselves. That's what I would do, and that's what I saved money for my daughter, And that's what I recommend you guys do. Now, in some cases, if you can't save, you can't. But if you can, save. If you can't, so be it. You do what you got to do. But if you do have the ability to save, try to save and give them a head start. Let's see here. Advice on buying a duplex in California. I'm looking to buy an investment property. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Well, you know, California is a pretty pricey state when it comes to real estate. So I don't know the landscape there as it relates to what duplexes sell for. I'm sure you can do the research on that. Hire yourself a good real estate agent, and that person will help you through that process. But I think a duplex is a good idea if someone is investment minded, but they want to start off by buying something that they can live in and rent part of it, live in part of it, in order to kind of get themselves some experience and then kind of venture out into buying whatever other kind of real estate they want to buy. I think that's a good idea. But I don't know much about the California real estate market because I live in Florida. So I know in Florida, you know, depending upon where you buy the duplex is a big deal. And I assume it's the same thing in California. But I think duplexes are a great investment. If you buy it right and you manage it properly, it's a wonderful investment. All right, guys, let's see here. If I just want to drive a dream car for a short period of time, 2-3 years, what is the best way to own without losing a lot of money? That's a good question for someone else. I can't answer that question for you because I don't buy cars and worry about losing money. I just buy them, enjoy them for as long as I want them, enjoy them. And whatever the market says they're worth when I go to sell it, that's what I get. And I move on to the next one. So I don't know. You'll have to get some feedback from someone else on that because I don't buy cars worrying about what they're going to be worth 2 to 3 years from now. I just don't worry about it. Put yourself in the right financial position. You wouldn't have to worry about it either, in my opinion. I need financial advice. I currently own 3 apartments. Rent 2 out. I'm selling apartment. I'll buy an apartment in Asia. What's my opinion? Selling an apartment and buying an apartment in Asia? Well, what are you going to Asia for? Are you moving there for work, or your company's there? Or I don't know much about real estate in Asia. I would say if you got 3 apartments and your investment horizon for those apartments, you reached it, you've done what you wanted to do with them, or at least 2 of them or 1 of them, then yeah, sell it, move on, get into something else if that's what you want to do. I don't know about investing that money in Asia because I don't know anything about Asia. But real estate, man, look, guys, real estate is you know, you buy it, you get what you need to get out of it, and you move on. I know there are some people, you never sell real estate. I'm not one of those people. I buy real estate for a purpose. I don't buy real estate to keep it for the rest of my life. I mean, I don't buy it for that. I buy it to make money. When the money's done, when I'm done with that investment, I move on to the next one. I'm not married, just like my primary residence that I live in. I'm not married to this house. When it's time to sell it, guess what? I'm going to sell it and move on to the next one. And that's the way I've used real estate in the past, and that's the way I'll use real estate until I'm not investing in real estate anymore. It's just a pathway to the financial goals that I have. That's all it is. Point blank. I'm gonna use it for what I need to use it for, and then I move on from it and go into something else. Let's see here. Oh, you're thinking of transferring to Asia. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're transferring to Asia and you're gonna be there, I would say first of all, if you keep the properties, move to Asia, get the lay of the land, figure out if you want to buy anything there or invest there, and if you do, and it's a good opportunity for you, then sell one of the places and and transfer the money over there and buy what you want. I wouldn't sell anything yet. I would probably just, especially if they're good properties and they're cash flowing and they're appreciating in value, hold on to them till you get to Asia, get the lay of the land, see if you like it over there. What if you get over there and you don't like it and you want to transfer back to the States and you've sold one of your real estate properties? So just get over there first, spend some time over there, make sure you like it, make sure you're going to be there long term. And if you are, then at that point, make a decision on what you want to do with your real estate portfolio here in the States. What do you say is the hardest part of investing in real estate? Buying your first house, And also, what's your opinion on property management for real estate beginners? Well, I think the hardest part for, investing in real estate is just pulling the trigger. I think for most people, they overthink it. They think, they just continue to obsess over it and overthink it. That's the biggest issue I see. You guys know I got a company now that RF Financial Consulting, and I help people with trying to figure out their financial pathway. And I also help them with putting together ideas about how to create additional streams of income. And real estate is a big part of that. So when I talk to these folks, the biggest thing is just doing it. Just do it. Because here's the thing about real estate. Once you do your first one, you'll know how to do the second one. You'll know how to do the third one. You'll know how to do the fourth one. You just got to do it. Don't overthink it. Save your money. Buy in the right location. Be good to your tenants. And you'll be fine in real estate. Think about it. Go back and look at the history of real estate values in the United States over the last 50 years. Just go online and Google it. Or ask some reputable company to give you the history on real estate values as a whole in the United States over the last 50 years. Guys, you don't lose money in real estate if you hold it right, if you take care of your tenants. You buy it right, take care of your tenants, put money back into the property when you need to put money back into it, save a reserve account so you can pay for capital improvements when you need to. As long as you do those things, man, real estate will be good to you. It's proven. Look at the last 50 years. It's proven. It appreciates in value. Most of the wealthiest people in our country, and matter of fact, in the world, they did it through real estate. So all I'm saying is don't be afraid. Do your homework. Make sure you educate yourself. Save your money. Buy in the right location. Take care of your tenants. And don't spend all your cash flow. You'll be fine. Would you take equity in your rental property to buy your dream car? Would I take equity out of my rental property to buy my dream car? Well, I would sell. I've sold properties in order to buy my dream car. Because again, guys, it's only an investment. I mean, it's not something that I got to keep. I bought the rental property to create cash, to create wealth. So at some point, I'm gonna have to sell it to buy something else. Now, in my case, I sold a piece of real estate to pay, took part of the proceeds to pay for my car, one of my cars, specifically my Ferrari. And I don't regret doing that. It was an investment I made in that piece of real estate for the purpose of buying me a supercar. So once it reached its investment horizon and I was ready to cash out, I sold it. Took part of the money, put it in the stock market, took the other part, went and bought me a Ferrari. So, yeah, take equity out of it. What's good is the equity just sitting in there. I mean, you got a $500,000 house that's owned free and clear. You have no access to the equity to make more money or do things you want to do with your life. What good is it? In my opinion, it's no good. I mean, again, guys, this income thing, this making money thing, it's just a tool. It's only effective if you use it. Money is no good if you don't use it. It's worthless. It means nothing. You have to use it for something in order for it to add value to your life. So you guys out here making all this money and putting it under your mattress or putting it somewhere and looking at your statement every month saying, wow, look at all this money I got. What good is it? But now if that's the way you want to lead your life, go right ahead. Personally, I'm not going to lead mine that way. I'm going to use it as a tool. And when I need something, I want something, I'm going to create it. And then I'm going to take that tool and I'm going to use it to enhance my personal enjoyment. That's what I'm going to use money for. Other than that, it's useless to me. If I can't take it and enhance my lifestyle, enhance my family's lifestyle, enjoy it, I don't see the point in making it. What good is it? So let's see here. What's a great rule of thumb for deciding on how much house you can afford? Well, the great rule of thumb is I'd go get a pre-approval because they're going to take your income and tell you exactly what they're going to lend you. And that's all you're going to get. So that is a good rule of thumb to determine exactly how much house you can afford. You go to a lender and get pre-approved. They're going to say, Mr. Borrower, we looked at all your financial information. We looked at your personal credit, and we determined you can afford a house up to $300,000 or up to $500,000 or up to $1 million. And then you'll know, okay, that's what I can afford. Let's see here. Do you use business credit for real estate investments? No, I do not. I don't use, I'm not saying you can't, but for the type of real estate I do, guys, I don't need to be creating all these elaborate companies and LLCs. And I'm one of these guys, I'm pretty specific on what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in there, buy it, get me some cash flow, get me some appreciation, and I'm getting out of it. So I'm not going to be in there 10 years, 15 years. That's not my deal. I'm a buy and hold guy for 3 to 5 years, and then I'm going to something else. I'm not going to have my money just sit there in real estate the whole time. I may shift it to the stock market. I may shift it to watches. I may keep some of it in real estate. You know, I'm constantly moving. So, but yeah, I think LLCs are perfect for the right investor. I mean, if you're building a specific investment portfolio and you feel like, and you and your CPA discuss it and y'all feel like creating LLCs in order to make it work for you, the right way to do it, then I say do it. Let's see here. What are good gated communities you'll buy in Florida, coming from the outside U.S. under $500,000? I would tell you this. I can't sit here and specifically name them for you, but I can tell you Southwest Florida, where I live, from Naples up to Tampa, with $500,000, man, you can buy a really nice house in a gated community. Now, obviously, you got to keep in mind, you're going to have association fees. You're going to have HOA dues that you're going to have to pay on top of that on a quarterly basis in most cases. So you need to include that in your analysis as well. But for $500,000, you can have a nice gated community that you live in for that type of price. I would just say, hey, if you're thinking about Florida, certainly DM me, and especially if you're thinking about the Naples, Fort Myers area, DM me. And I got a good buddy of mine, James Hunter. He's a professional real estate agent here in this area. He can certainly walk you through some options. If you're thinking about Southwest Florida, Naples, Fort Myers. When you're getting pre-approved, how much does that affect your credit score? In most cases, if you're not just jumping around to 15, 20 banks, it wouldn't affect you at all. Normally, what you would do is just go to the bank that you normally do business with, or the credit union you normally do business with, and it doesn't affect you at all. Only time it really affects you is if you're going out to multiple in a short period of time, you're trying to get approved by all these banks. That's when it will affect you over a short period of time. But if you go get 2 or 3 banks to take a look at your financing needs, that doesn't really affect you. It's when you go get 15 inquiries in a 2-week period, that may affect you. Let's see here. Are house prices inflated because the economy is good? Should I wait until the economy tanks or house prices to drop? I don't think house prices are inflated. I think house prices are what the market say house prices should be. I don't think they're inflated. I think they're right at where the market says they should be. What you got to think about is when you start talking about inflated, if you see an area where you have a lot of speculators coming into that market and buying up multiple properties at once, and when I say speculators, I'm talking about real estate speculators who have no intention of buying that property and putting a tenant in it and getting cash flow and holding that property. Only their intention is to come in and buy it at a certain price and within a short period of time flip it for a higher price. That's speculation. So if you see a market where a lot of speculation is going on, I'd stay away from that market if I'm a homeowner. If I'm trying to buy a house to live in or buy a piece of real estate to get income off of it through rental income, I would stay away from areas who have high concentrations of speculation as it relates to real estate investors, because that's where you see inflated prices. Because what's happening is these properties are coming on the market and people are paying more than, they're inflating the price because they're buying them and paying, more than what they're really probably worth, because their intention is not to be holding them. Their intention is to pay and then inflate them again so that they can sell them and make some money. And then the guy that's left holding the bag, somebody like you and me, now we're at the top of that inflation cycle, and boom, we buy it. We're stuck with it when it comes back down to regular market prices. So that's what you got to look out for, in my opinion, at least. Would you buy a new truck if you were trying currently to pay off debt? No, I would not. I would pay my debt off first, especially if it's high rate debt, high rate credit card debt, high rate installment loan debt. I'd pay that off first before I purchased anything that would be considered. Now, don't get me wrong. If you got no way to get, if your transportation is zero and you need to get transportation, go buy you a little $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 buy here, pay here until you pay your debt off, and then flip into something a lot nicer. But I wouldn't buy anything brand new if I got all this debt hanging out there. You need to pay your debt off first before you buy anything luxury. Pay your debt off. What's your opinion on property management? My opinion on property management is I don't use property managers. But I don't use property managers because I only have 4 or 5 properties at one time. I don't have 10, 15, 20, 30 properties. Now, if you're somebody that's going to have 10 properties, 15 properties, or some large 30, 40, 50 unit apartment building, then yeah, you probably would want a property management company to help you with that, unless you have a skill set to be able to manage the thing. If you don't, then yeah, look for you a good property management company. But what I will tell you, the fewer properties you have, the more it's going to cost you for a property management company, and they're going to eat into your profits. They're going to charge you anywhere between 5 and 8%. So if you got a little if you got a little duplex out here, and you're getting $1,500 a month in rent on that duplex, and they're taking 8%, they're just eating into your profit margin. Manage that yourself if you can. Now, if you start scaling that thing up, like I said, and you get your 15 properties, 30 properties, 35 unit apartment building, yeah, you want to get some help then, because it makes sense, because you'll spread that cost over all of your properties as opposed to being concentrated on just one property or 2 properties. Okay, guys, I'm going to go about 7 more minutes and then I'm going to shut it down. I don't want to be on here longer than an hour. Richard, I work in real estate. Banks won't hurt your score for a mortgage within 30 days if it's for the same item such as there you go. You got an expert just chimed in, guys. So he's the expert. I'm not. I would just say start with the bank that you have a relationship with. If you're looking to try to get the best rate, and guys, I'm just giving y'all my opinion. This is how I did it. There's a million ways to go out and get a mortgage. But the way I get my finances, I develop relationships with people, man. So that when it's time for me to go in and get my stuff, I don't have no problems. I get the best rate. Like on my cars, I got a relationship with the credit union that I buy all my cars through, and I get 2% rates, 3% rate. I don't have to worry about it in this because I built relationships. But if you're only looking to get the very best deal, you don't care about relationships, then go out there and do that. But if you care about relationships and getting the very best deal you really can get, develop relationships with these lenders, man, with these banks or credit unions. It will serve you well as you march down the road of trying to build a real estate portfolio or buy cars or whatever you decide you want to do. Get the best rates on credit cards. Build some relationships out there that'll serve you well as you move down the road. At least that's what I did, and I'm happy with doing that because it's paid off for me tenfold. Thoughts of land? I don't know much about land trusts. You probably need to speak with an expert in that field. I don't know much about land trusts. Okay, let's see here. Let's make a real estate syndicate to buy 300 units. I'm all for that, Maserati boss. You need to DM me, man. I'm getting ready to do some stuff here in my area where I live at here in Southwest Florida. we're going to start doing some real estate syndication deals. Now, we'll probably start off small, 50, 100 units, something like that, and then graduate ourselves up to the big boy stuff like your boy Grant Cardone does. My goal, though, is to sometime this year, 2020, put together my first syndication. So if you're interested in that, DM me on Instagram, man, and we'll talk a little bit, because that's something that I'm going to do, guys. I think that's the more and more I research syndications, I research REITs. REITs are good for a specific investor, but these syndicated deals are nice as well, especially if you're the general partner on the syndication deal. It can be really, really nice. Also, if you're a limited partner, it can be rewarding, man. You can make some, 15, 20, 25, 30% returns on some of these syndication deals if you're okay with putting your money in and letting it and it being a hold pattern for 5 or so years while the property matures. Now, certainly you'll be getting some cash flow, some dividends, you'll get some tax benefits through depreciation, all that stuff. But if you're willing to let it ride and hold for 5 years, some of these syndications deals do really well. So yeah, that's one of the next big moves I'm gonna be making here in the area that I live in. Let's see here, what do I got? 5 minutes, okay. I'm a natural introvert. Any tips on building relationships with bankers would be appreciated. Well, my recommendation is whether is when you're thinking about banking, guys, the number one thing is go into a brick and mortar location. Ask for a banker. Sit down with that banker. Talk to that banker about who you are and what plans you have, and get to know that banker. See, banking, guys, is about relationships. It ain't about, it's about relationships. Why do you think these wealth customers and these affluent customers get all the best deals? Because they got relationships built with these people. That's why you can see these multi-million-dollar homes. These people get 2% interest rates on them. Why? Because they built relationships with this particular lender over the years, and that lender makes money in different ways through that relationship. It's just not off of a one-off mortgage. Go build a relationship. Sit down with a banker and build a relationship. And I think if you do that, even if you're an introvert, you'll find that once you find that right fit, that right banker that you can gel with, you'll be okay. And I would say develop 2 of those relationships. Never just have one bank or credit union. Always have multiple. Always have at least 2. Because things change with these banks, man. Your bank may change their lending policies. So always have 2 banks that you deal with. But go in and build direct personal relationships with those people. Don't just pick up the phone or go online because it's the trendy thing to do. You're not going to build relationships online applying for nothing online. Those people don't care anything about you. They're just trying to make money at that point. So what you need to do is take your time, go into a brick and mortar location, sit down with somebody and develop a relationship. Do you buy property and put in your name or LLC? Most of the properties I buy, all the properties I buy, put them in my own name. Again, my tax strategy is a little bit different than a lot of you guys. I would say talk with your CPA. They will tell you how you need to title and take ownership of a property that you're going to buy. I'm not the guy to tell you that. You have to go talk with your CPA and they will guide you along the way. Hey, Richard, are you going to buy that R8 Performance? No, probably not. I know the R8 that my neighbor's selling that I did a video on this week, I'm thinking about buying that one. Even though it's not in my prototypical black color, it is such a sweet deal that it might be fun, It may be fun to toss that thing around for a while. And because I've always liked the R8. I just don't like it better than my Ferrari, and I don't like it better than my Porsche 911 GT3. I don't like it better than those 2, but I like it. And it's such a great deal. It may, I may give it a shot. I may try the R8 for a little while. I haven't made my mind up on it, but I'm considering it. Thoughts on no doc loans? I didn't know they still did no doc loans. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, chime in. I didn't know they still did no doc loans. So I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on it. I didn't think they still offered them. All right, guys, we are at an hour, so I'm going to get ready to sign off. I do want to say thank you guys very much for coming on this live stream and asking your questions. And hopefully, man, I was able to answer some of them and give you some clarity. But guys, hey, one thing I want you to remember, and you guys hear me say this all the time on my videos, thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. Guys, keep chasing your greatness, man. You guys are great. So keep chasing your greatness. And I'll see you guys on the next live. And I'll also be posting a video, a couple videos next week. So check them out as well. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Peace.